And our first story, some senior high schools in Ghana say they are struggling to feed Form 1 students admitted under the flagship free SHS program. This, they say, is as a result of the failure of the National Buffer Stock Company to supply them food as agreed under the program. For example, the Odogono Senior High School is just one of the many schools contending with this challenge. There's more in the following report put together by JoyNews' Matilda Bamaga.
At the Odogono Senior High School, it is a daily struggle to provide food for the students. This 77-year-old senior high school located in Accra is contending with the challenge of feeding its students since the inception of the free senior high school policy. There are 2,673 students in this school. Headmistress of the Odogono Senior High School, who is also the national treasurer for the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, Dr. Shine Fori, says the situation is critical and needs government's urgent intervention.
The challenge we have is the supply of foodstuff. Buffer Stock was given that responsibility to give us the non-perishable items, the merchandise, the cereals, etc. And they are not coming forth. So it's become a problem.
For this 2 months period?
Yeah, they are not coming. They are coming with little bits that don't even reach a day's supplies. And so what we are doing is we are using the Form 2, Form 3 students' foodstuff to feed the Form 1s. And our stock is depleted. So it's a big challenge we have now. It hasn't been easy. When you go out, some people in the hinterlands tell you they have not even received anything from the beginning of the year, the academic year. And it's a serious situation because we are feeding adolescent students. Those in the boarding house, they are taking 3 meals a day. The day students are taking 1 meal a day. It hasn't been easy. When you get to the dining hall, you realize that the Form 1 students in my school, they are more than half the population in the dining hall. So the question is, how are we feeding them? And we are only hoping that they would come quickly with the supplies. Else it can create problems for running the school.
Have you reported this issue already?
Yes, it's a known thing. Yes, it's a known thing. Because we are to be reporting regularly on how things are going in the schools. And we were given the numbers of the people to call at the Buffer Stock. Yesterday, for example, my matron came to me and I called the operator at director of operations at Buffer Stock. I called and called. I didn't get him.
But with what you have in store, is it something that can take you for the rest of the period?
How can that take us through? That is the challenge we are having. It cannot take us to the end of term. As at now, we have difficulties.
So how are you surviving?
So we are only waiting for some change to come. We have written to DG that this is what is going on. And we need an immediate intervention in this matter so that the schools don't run down. And we are waiting to get a response quickly from him.
Would you describe this as an emergency situation for the school?
Should I? I really don't know how to describe it, but we need immediate intervention. Which across the country, we all need that quick intervention.
Before the commencement of the policy, the school's administrators were responsible for contracting food suppliers. Under the free SHS policy, the National Buffer Stock Company is the sole supplier of food to the various high schools. It's been 2 months since the inception of the policy, but some schools are yet to get their supplies. Beyond feeding students, the school is also dealing with infrastructural issues.
My class, we are about 46, but the desks are few. Even some are even pairing. So I urge that we should get more desks. And also in my dormitory, the space there is also very small. I hope if they can extend it for us.
This situation is hampering academic work. Headmistress Dr. Shine Fori and her staff are trying very hard to manage the challenges in the school.
We do not have enough classrooms for them and then enough monodesks for them. So in the classroom, some are sitting 2-2. And that does not augur well for academic progress.
Critics of the free SHS policy have always argued that the quality of education at this level will be sacrificed with its implementation. Until government takes urgent steps to deal with these challenges, they might just be proving their critics right. For Joy News, Matilda Pomaga, Accra.
And we have many of these schools scattered across districts in Ghana. And already we know that the local government minister, Hajia Halima Mahamas, has ruled out the creation of new constituencies from the 38 new districts expected to be in place next year. The legal instrument seeking to create the new district has already been laid before Parliament, with a number of them expected to be elevated to the status of municipalities. 45 new constituencies were formed or created in 2012, when the last set of districts were created amidst allegations it was designed to favor the then ruling NDC at the polls. But the local government minister said the Akufo-Addo-led administration has no such intentions.
But the main criteria that we've adopted is the areas that we have identified as other new municipals or district assemblies are already constituencies. We have not created any district that will necessitate the creation of a constituency. The president has the mandate to create districts, municipalities, metropolitans, and the Electoral Commission creates constituencies. But the law is that you cannot have one constituency divided into two districts. So if we do that, it means that other area must be established as a constituency. So we have not done that. We have followed the existing constituencies. So districts that have two or more constituencies, some constituencies have been turned into districts, have been made districts, so that it will still be districts and still, for example, my constituency is Nalergo Gambaga. It's one district, one constituency. It's Mamprese district. And the district is 162,000. It could have been divided into two, but it is one constituency. One constituency, one district. So until a constituency is created out of it, I cannot divide it into district. So, for example, East Mamprese, much as I would like to see it divided, I can't do it because it's one constituency.
And Hajia Halima Mahamas also assured the new district to be created would not have to struggle with basic infrastructure such as offices, as adequate provisions have been made for them in the 2018 budget.
The question is, now that we have we are creating the district, it's incumbent on government to establish the offices. So until the LI matures, we cannot start looking at the offices. But definitely, we've told some of the districts are aware, and they are preparing for that. And it's incumbent of government to create the offices, and we'll definitely do that.
No, but just for clarity, in the 2018 budget, have provisions been made for these 38 additional districts when it comes to plans like the one district, one factory, and all the other plans that focus on district specific? Certainly,
the provisions have been made. Definitely, it's one of the one district, one factory is government's priority program. So definitely, provision will be made for it in the budget. Yeah.
So 38 more districts.
Yes. Of course, when the 38 districts established, they've been part of the process before. It's not as if they were not within the process. If they have already developed some programs or some industries in that fact, they will just fall within. If they haven't, then it's time for them to put their act together and start thinking of developing their product for an enterprise or for an industry.
And Deputy Minority Leader James Kluche-Avedji says despite the expected hike in government's administrative costs, he's confident the move would also accelerate local development.
It's involved in more bureaucracy. It also involves additional costs to government because you need to put up the infrastructure, the accommodation to accommodate those new districts that are created. We also need to have the personnel to work in those districts. So that is the cost aspect of it. But one other aspect that we could look at critically is about the benefit in terms of the development. it facilitates speedy development of those areas. Upgrading is just is only in the name. What is the difference if my district now, which is Ketunov district, is now being made Ketunov municipality? What is the benefit? I do not see anything different, because in terms of allocation of the resources from the common fund, the factors that are used in determining that will still be used, because we use a number of population, we use a teacher pupil ratio, we use doctor-patient ratio, and all those are the same. So they are going to continue to use those factors in determining the allocation for. So changing the name from district to municipality will actually not add much, anything very significant. That's, but it's just a matter of name that, oh, you are no more a district, you are now a municipality. What is more important is the creation of new districts, and that I agree that it's necessary to do that to ensure that development is facilitated and is speed.
Meanwhile, the 9-member commission of inquiry set up by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to facilitate the creation of additional regions is set to hold its first public hearing of the petitioners on November 21. The Minister for Regional Reorganization, Dan Botwe, says 6 petitions have so far been received by the commission ahead of a referendum set for 2018. Matilda Bamaga has more.
The creation of new regions is in line with promises made by President Akufo-Addo during the 2016 electioneering period. Early this year, some chiefs and opinion leaders in Western, Volta, Brong-Ahafo and Northern regions petitioned the president during his visits to these areas. President Akufo-Addo took a step closer to fulfilling these demands by constituting a 9-member commission of inquiry to look into the proposals. Minister for Regional Reorganization, Dan Botwe, says 6 petitions to create additional regions have been presented to the president for onward review by the commission.
At this stage, they want to begin to meet the petitioners. So we have 6 petitions. One from Western region, one from Volta, 2 from Brong-Ahafo, and 2 from Northern region. So making all 6 petitions. So he's going to meet all of them. And as the
what is the purpose of engaging with these petitioners?
Well, this according to the commission. I'm not saying it. According to the commissioner, I mean, you read a document. Somebody should come and at least expatiate on it and explain the rationale, give more information. You ask them questions so that they can explain, so that you can understand the petition better, even before they move to the regions to interact with the people, so that they can understand whether it has broad support.
After review of the 6 petitions, the Electoral Commission will be in charge of a referendum set in 2018. But on the issue of how much it will cost government to create these new regions, Dan Botwe says the commission is yet to draw up a budget.
No, the committee is here to come out of a budget covering the whole thing, and then when they finish, the Electoral Commission will work based on the recommendations of the committee. You understand? So the Electoral Commission may submit a budget as to, in case all the 6 petitions succeed, and in case we are holding election in all the 6 areas of the 6 petitioners, then this is how much it might cost. But what about if the commission finishes work and they say, well, based on our investigation, it's only 2. That is maybe we are recommending for such an action, or it's only 3 or 4. So it will differ. Yeah, but it will, we expect the Electoral Commission, and they are aware of this program, to submit a budget for maybe maximum 6, but it may come down if they don't do all the 6. Yeah.
The 9-member commission headed by retired Justice of the Supreme Court, S.A. Brobe, has 6 months to complete its review work.
In other news, pregnant women are being cautioned against excessive alcohol intake to avoid complications that could deform their unborn babies. Health experts say children of alcohol-abusing parents are susceptible to what is referred to as fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. Beverage company Akar Brewery is leading a nationwide sensitization campaign for pregnant women at major health facilities. Prince Apia witnessed one of such sessions at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, from where he found this report.
Fetal alcohol spectrum disorders are a group of conditions characterized by facial deformities, behavioral and learning problems. Ms. Juliana Bosompra is Deputy Director of Nursing Services, Obstetrics and Gynecology Department at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital. She warns pregnant mothers to desist from taking alcohol during pregnancies to safeguard mothers and their unborn babies.
Some people will tell you, oh, as for let me take some small amount of alcohol, because it passes through the bloodstream, so it goes through, it passes through the umbilical cord, and the baby can get it straight. You can get cleft palate, the hearing impairment. The brain can develop well when you drink alcohol during pregnancy. The advice given to them, like, they shouldn't drink alcohol at all, whether in small quantity or they consume it in large quantity. It can affect the baby.
She said this when Accra Brewery Limited extended its alcohol and pregnancy program, which sensitizes pregnant women on the health condition, to the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital. The program, organized in partnership with the Reproductive Health Outpatient Department of major health facilities across the country, has so far impacted over 3,000 women. Cyrus DeGraff Johnson is the Corporate Affairs Manager of Accra Breweries Limited.
Because we as a company believe that alcohol is supposed to be enjoyed by adults only, and also for some people who will be responsible in not abusing it. But in this particular case, we think that it is totally a no-go area for any pregnant woman or anybody expecting pregnancy or lactating to go near alcohol, because we believe that no amount is too small for a pregnant woman. So we are trying to prevent this. We've been doing this for the past 4 years. We started in Kolebu, 37, Police Hospital, we went to Kofredua, we've gone to other places in Accra, and so far we've had a very good response from the pregnant women. The hospital authorities have been very cooperative, and we intend to continue. It's a 3-day thing. We started yesterday, today, and we'll end it on Friday.
Ms. Juliana Bosompra therefore extended her appreciation to ABL for leading the charge against fetal alcohol spectrum.
Very good, educative, and it has helped us and the clients also. It's very good that if we can get it even monthly, or us, that we'll be able to talk with their help, we'll be able to talk to the clients.
Prince Apia reporting.
Ghana loses over 300,000 tons of maize annually to post-harvest losses, and this according to a 2016 study by an expert in post-harvest losses management with the Africa Post-Harvest Losses Information System. And Dr. Bruno Tran says that the figure represents 18% of the country's annual maize production, and the 3 regions of the north being the largest contributor of maize in the country being the hardest hit. The study blamed it on the failure by farmers to dry their maize thoroughly before storage. Emmanuel Sasuyeboa, Upper West Regional Director of Agriculture, revealed this during the Regional Post-Harvest Losses Forum organized by the Ghana Trades and Livelihood Coalition in collaboration with the SNV under the Voice for Change Partnership Project. Rafik Salam is now reporting from WA.
Over the past decades, significant focus and resources have been allocated to increase food production. For example, 95% of the research investments during the past 30 years were focused on increasing productivity, whilst only 5% was directed towards reducing losses. Upper West Regional Director of Agriculture, Emmanuel Sasuyeboa, at the first Upper West Regional Post-Harvest Losses Forum, noted that food production is currently being challenged by limited land, water, and increased weather variability due to climate change. To sustain and achieve the goals of food and nutrition security, Emmanuel Sasu stated that food availability needs to be increased through reduction in post-harvest process at farms, retail, and consumer levels. He buttressed his point using a study conducted by an expert in post-harvest losses management with the Africa Post-Harvest Losses Information System, Dr. Bruno Tran.
That Ghana loses about 318,514 tons of maize annually to post-harvest losses. This figure represents 18% of the country's annual maize production. The losses recorded per region were as follows. Northern region, 20,411 metric tons. Upper East, 13,000 metric tons. Upper West, 778 metric tons. According to Dr. Tran, most of the maize was lost because the farmers failed to dry them thoroughly before storage.
It is not only maize that post-harvest losses are recorded, but rather major crops such as yam, sorghum, and millet as well.
Another research conducted in 2013 by the Urban Association Limited on post-harvest losses of selected food crops in 11 African countries, including Ghana, under the sponsorship of AGRA, revealed that almost half of food crops produced in the country does not make it to the final consumer.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan, in a speech read on his behalf by Alhaji Abubakar Abdullahi, lamented the toil and swore that farmers go through, but in the end, turn out to be a wasteful venture.
I am also aware that many of our mothers, wives, and sisters are engaged in processing and marketing. Groundnut, for instance, is one of the most important crops, and it is produced essentially by women. It is therefore a tragedy to even consider that large quantities of the output of all these efforts are lost to post-harvest management. The implication is that so much of the toil and sweat of the farmer goes into the drain.
Country Programs Coordinator for Netherlands Development Organization, SMV, Eric Banye, commended the government for the initiation of the One District, One Warehouse project. However, he will want the government to sensitize the farmers before the warehouses are put up.
In the north, the value of a farmer is in how many bags of maize he's having in his bedroom, and not how many bags of maize he has in a warehouse. So he will prefer to keep his own grains in his house when he's not even having the space to live than to carry that to the warehouse. So as we move forward, we need to incorporate these cultural practices in trying to say, oh, don't worry, let's put out the warehouses, farmers will bring the additional value. Not necessarily. You will be shocked that the warehouses will be there, but people will still keep the grains in their houses. So culture plays a very key role. And therefore, a lot of awareness and sensitization needs to be created for the farmer to value the fact that he needs to carry his grains to the warehouse.
The forum was organized by the Ghana Trades and Livelihood Coalition, GTLC, in collaboration with SMV under the Voice for Change Partnership Project. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam.
And before we go, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has reiterated the commitment of his government to fulfill all promises made to the people of Ghana in the run-up to the December 2016 elections. According to the president, despite the difficult circumstances he inherited, his administration has this year begun to put in place policies and programs for the realization of his promises. The president disclosed this when he interacted with the Ghanaian community in Doha, Qatar, as part of his 3-day official visit to that country. He noted that one of the preoccupations of his government upon assumption of office was to ensure the stabilization of the country's macroeconomy.
Able this year to start putting in place the realization of our program. I'm very, very keen that the promises that we made to the Ghanaian people, the pledges we made about what we would do when we come into office, that the people of Ghana see that we are fulfilling those promises. Yes. It's important for trust in government. It's important for trust in politicians that they should be seen to be people of their word. You come, you make a promise, you get into office, and then you find all kinds of reasons to say, I can't do it. It is not good for government. You commit yourself, it's because you have thought that you can do it. And all the commitments that we have made gradually, systematically, we are beginning to realize that, because there are things we thought about long and deep in opposition, and we believe that they were the way to putting our country on the road to progress and to prosperity. Several key things. First of all, trying to do something about the macroeconomy of our country. We inherited a Ghana whose economy had a 9.6% deficit in 2016. 3.6% rate of growth, the lowest in over 20 years. Widespread unemployment, doomsday, unstable supply of power, and then of course the major issue of corruption. So it's been necessary to try and put the macroeconomy back into shape. And I believe we've done well. Already, we committed ourselves to reducing the deficit from 9.6 to 6.3 this year. We're meeting that target.
And that's it for the latest news update. But Mama, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I missed you yesterday.
You did.
Yeah. I think the budget had a hectic toll on you.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I stood for very long hours in Parliament. It was. Yeah.
But it's good that you're
but you did all the work, though.
No, you and I did.
You did all the work. No, so congratulations to you.
No, it's a team package. So. And we hope that you also enjoyed our coverage of the budget and thereafter the discussions that we had. But today we have great things to talk about. It's a Friday, but today we're also focusing on Zimbabwe. You know, over the last 3 days, Robert Mugabe, who already has exhausted his future, is going to have his future being... I think so. He's 93 years old.
He's still president of Zimbabwe, by the way.
How old was Moses before he died?
What I know is he became, I mean, he took charge of the country even before I was born.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are 30 years and above in Zimbabwe, I mean, that's the only person that they've come to know. But he's still under house arrest. But photographs came out yesterday of him and the man who put him there, the man in charge of the army. So yeah,
the general.
There are still the general. There are still conversations. There are still. We're told that there are people from the sub-region who are in the country, trying to talk him out to step down. That's what we're hearing.
To step down.
To step down. Peacefully. But nothing has happened yet. So it's still the same situation in Zimbabwe. But the people who live there say that things are going back to normal, not in the sense of the military personnel and the equipment
going
in the streets, but at least people are going about their business. On Tuesday, they said it felt like a Sunday because you know the place was quiet and everything. Yeah, so we will be talking about Zimbabwe, but we'll also be focusing on premature babies. Today we have somebody who's gone through it, who's sharing her experiences with us, but also broadly how to help you out if you're in that situation. And if you haven't been through it and somebody's telling you, it's a bit chilling that you give birth to a very small child, child. Yeah, and you can't take the child home. People delivering it have to take their babies home, but you cannot because your situation is exceptional. And I've witnessed people who can't even take the immunization because they'll say your baby is not up to a certain weight, and it's very, very worrying. So we hope that, you know, the conversation helps you out if you are in a similar situation, at least.
Or even if you're in that gestation period.
Yeah.
Because you never know what could happen if you're pregnant.
That's true.
All right. So please get interactive. On Facebook, we have our page, JoyNews on TV. At JoyNews on TV is our Twitter handle. And let us know what you think. A lot more of those messages also coming through our channel on YouTube, My Joy Online TV.
Yeah, but we've got the newspapers and we'll do the online review right after this, so stay with us.
Do enjoy this. We'll be right back.